Channel. My name is Adrianne. I make makeup related videos. Eyeshadow palettes are my favorite. I'm also a licensed esthetician and a bridal makeup artist, but today I'm coming to you with a video on BH Cosmetics Aquamarine Birthstone palette for the month of March. This palette is a 7-pan palette. There is a mirror on the inside of the palette that I won't blind you with. This 7-pan palette has one glitter shade in here. Now that you've seen what the colors look like in the palette, I'll show you what they look like on my complexion. Now that you've seen what these shades look like on my complexion, I'll show you how I got the look I'm wearing today, and I'll be back with my final first impressions on the Aquamarine palette. impressions on the Aquamarine palette, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up here. As you saw, I was really working this palette quite a bit. I really don't care for this palette overall. This shade I feel like was a dud. I don't feel like it was just because the shade was about the same range as my skin tone, even though it's more of a taupey brown than it is a yellow brown. I don't think that had anything to do with it. With the eyeshadow primer that I had on, it wasn't changing the color of that very much without packing quite a bit of it on. I also thought that this reddish shade here, reddish burgundy shade, was a dud also. It was very difficult to build and work with. It was not pigmented at all and seemed kind of powdery. I will say that this shade was okay. And this shade also, the main Birthstone palette, Aquamarine shade, that I put down the center because I decided to do a halo eye with this look. Those two turned out great. And once I went off camera, I remembered that I didn't use this light blue matte shade here. So I did pop this on the inner corner here, and that was phenomenal. That was the best shade in the palette, was this blue shade here, the blue matte, light blue. I thought that worked awesome. This brow bone type shade that I used up here, that one seemed to be pretty pigmented too and didn't take much to build when I put it here, and it actually took quite a bit for me to blend when I tried to go in with this shade here and correct the lightness that I put in here. When I was off camera, I did blend and blend and blend to just try to get everything filled in. I just don't feel like the pigmentation was there. The quality was very poor overall for this palette. I would not recommend this palette based on my first impressions of it. If I wanted a really pretty sky blue pastel shade, if I was doing some special look, I may grab this palette for that look. And who knows, maybe depending on what the glitter looks like, I could see myself reaching for this glitter because, and I'm going to hold it up closer so maybe you can see the shift when it comes into focus on this holographic glitter. But I do have some other holographic glitters that I would probably think to grab before this because I don't think much of this palette overall. Even though the Aquamarine shade and this darker blue shade did perform nicely and the whole look with it, I think on the eyelid, turned out to be gorgeous, the mattes just botched this palette so much for me that I would really never, probably never even remember to reach for it because I have other eyeshadow palettes that have beautiful blues in it. The only thing I could say that would make this palette stand out for me to where I would want to touch it again would be that pastel baby blue shade. That shade, I mean, I barely touched my brush in it and I just tapped right on the inner corner of my eye and that pigmentation was there. I didn't have to blend. That was gorgeous. I don't care for the color story. I'm going to open it up. I was concerned about this palette anyway when I saw the color story, but I thought, hey, if the mattes perform great, like maybe the 4 quads of the mattes here, because all of these are mattes, I thought maybe they would actually pair and make a good look together, but the quality is so poor on them that I don't really think they would go together. I'm not really sure also why they decided to stick this red shade here with the lighter blues. I guess that's kind of a thing that's a theme this season with some of the Christmas palettes. I've even seen where they've done that, and maybe if it was a better quality, maybe the whole look would have pulled off and I would have thought a lot more of it, but I don't like this palette. But overall, I think it's a dud, and I think it's something that you could skip out on and you probably wouldn't miss having it in your collection. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to support the channel. I'll see you guys soon.